we belong to the earth. We all belong to the earth. It's not that she belongs to us. We belong to her. We belong to her. A strand in a web are we. A strand in a web we believe. To own it we cannot dare to dream. It's a web that we didn't weave. It's a web that we didn't weave. And we belong to the earth. We all belong to the earth. It's not that she belongs to us. We belong to her. We belong to her. In sun and in wind and in rain, there's a seed of what will be. It awakens a power that grows down below. It courses through you and through me. It courses through you and through me. We belong to the earth. We all belong to the earth. It's not that she belongs to us. We belong to her. We belong to her. And when our spirits take flight, we'll lay our bodies down. Our ashes may be carried away on the wind, but return to the birthing ground. But return to the birthing ground. And we belong to the earth. We all belong to the earth. It's not that she belongs to us. We belong to her. We belong to her. It's not that she belongs to us. We belong to her. We belong to her.
Good morning, friends, and welcome to the April 18th online service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. My name is Dave Tarbell, and I'm serving as your worship associate for this service. Our service leader is Laurie Filstrup, and she will be leading this service focused on Earth Day and conservation. Our minister, Margie Allen, is off today, but she will be back next week. Our director of religious education, Deb Little, holds an RE class for children at 9:45 every Sunday. This has been a difficult stretch of time. As we heard about a trial of one police officer charged with killing a person of color, there are yet additional tragedies of that kind. Many of us feel helpless that we can do so little to be of help, but yet we feel we must do whatever we can. Hopefully, our worship services can offer moments of relief to our troubled souls. I want to offer a special welcome to any of you who are new to our services. We hope you will find our time together with us spiritual, informative, inspirational. We are a congregation of seekers who come from a variety of faith backgrounds, and we welcome others of all ages and identities who are looking for a spiritual home. Please stay on following the service for a time of meeting and greeting each other. Then if you would like to talk further with a small group of people, leave this meeting and click on the link for small group chats. You'll find that in the webpage or on the website or in the news feed that went out yesterday. Each week this month, there will be one small group in the chat room dedicated to a discussion of the proposition of the eighth principle, with members of the Racial Concern Committee leading. If you would like to know more about this, please ask our small group host, Denise Stevenson, to place you in that chat room. During our annual pledge drive, which is now in progress, a member of our fellowship will present a brief statement about why they choose to pledge their financial support. This week, Tom Allison will share his UU Minute after the chalice lighting. Let the sound of this bell call us to worship. As I light a candle here, you may want to do the same with the rereading of these words from Dag Hammarskjöld. Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back.
Hello, my name is Tom Allison. I've been a member of the fellowship for about 4 years, along with my wife Cassandra and children Isaac and Audrey. When I think of words that describe our UU fellowship, the first word that comes to my mind is peace. Peace. Not peace meaning an absence of all conflict, but rather peace meaning a certain state of being, a certain mindset of calm inspection, that it can be hard to get to alone, but happens regularly at our UU fellowship. And also peace as a message that our fellowship spreads, a message of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. It is hard to get to peace without financial security. When there is a lack of resources, this concern tends to crowd out everything else. So this is why I contribute to the fellowship, to help square away this tangible obstacle so we can then focus our energy on the intangible. For example, love, hope, faith, and community. So I also urge you to pledge what you can, and in this way help to enable the peace that we all seek.
I'd like to open with opening words from Black Elks prayer. Hey, lean to hear my feeble voice. You have said that I should make the tree to bloom. With tears running, O Great Spirit, my grandfather, with running eyes, I must say the tree has never bloomed. Here I stand, and the tree is withered. Again, I recall the great vision you gave me. It may be that some little root of the sacred tree still lives. Nourish it then, that it may leaf and bloom and fill with singing birds. Hear me, that the people may once again find the good road and the shielding tree. And now I'd like to invite us all to join in our first hymn, number 159, This Is My Song.
A song of peace for lands afar. and mine. This is my home, a country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating, with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover, leaf, and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, O God of all nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
Good morning. Thank you, Bethany, Maureen, and Laura, for such a beautiful and peaceful rendition of our hymn. Our shared story today is written by Carol Lindstrom, illustrated by Michaela Guad, and published by Roaring Book Press in New York. Carol Lindstrom is a citizen of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe, a tribe located in North Dakota. In her culture, women are the protectors of water and men are the protectors of fire. North Dakota is the location of the resistance of indigenous peoples to the oil pipeline known as the Dakota Access Pipeline, or DAPL. In 2016, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe stood up against the oil industry to protest and block the incursion of this oil pipeline across their water and sacred burial grounds. They were joined by members of other tribes, including members of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe. Their fight continues today as indigenous peoples and their allies are asking President Biden to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline for good. The illustrator, Michaela Guad, grew up in the rainforests of southeast Alaska, home to the Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian tribes. She has tried to honor Carol's culture by including floral images, traditional tribal dress, and clan animals in her illustrations. We are water protectors. Water is the first medicine. Newcomus told me. We come from water. It nourished us inside our mother's body, as it nourished us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land, spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wreck everything in its path. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. But now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together to stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. It will not be easy. But we stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, the winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, lakes, the earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Nukamus told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. So we stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. Amen.
Thank you, Deb. That was a really superior telling of such an important topic. Today's meditation starts with the words of Chief Seattle, and then I'll give you some words to think about during the meditation. We'll have a minute of silence after that, and then we'll segue into singing together with Deede Cook and Peter Winkler the hymn Spirit of Life. So here's Chief Seattle. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things connect. To lead us into meditation, I suggest that you try to picture some pleasing moment from your life when you, either alone or with your family or friends, enjoyed the experience of nature. In this memory, can you see the image in your eyes? Can you hear the sounds in your ears? Can you feel the wind or weather on your skin? Was there taste involved in the memory? Linger in that moment. Now, imagine returning to that particular place in 2021. What would have changed in that spot? Would the trees still be there? Would the wind still blow? Would the rain be falling? Could you still drink the water or taste the sweet fruit?
hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our weekly offering is our regular opportunity for the spiritual practice of generosity. Every month, we choose a local organization working for social justice with which we share our collection according to how you indicate you want your donation applied in the memo line of your check or online payment. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of April, in honor of Earth Day, is the Sweetbriar Nature Center. Sweetbriar is located on 54 acres of varied garden, woodland, field, and wetland habitats on the Nessequag River. It is home to hundreds of species of plants and animals. The mission of the organization is twofold: to provide natural science education services for people of all ages, and to provide native wildlife rehabilitation services. During the pandemic, they have been providing programming via Zoom, and in this spring, they have been able to open again to elementary school children. Please support this very special local organization, as well as our fellowship, with your pledges and contributions. You can use the link posted in the chat, or you can go to the donate button on our webpage. Your gifts to the fellowship and our social justice partners will be most gratefully received and put to really good use.
4. They did a marvelous job. Congratulations. Earth Day. April 22nd marks the 51st anniversary of the celebration of the globe that we call Earth Day. It's a time of joy for the outdoors we can all partake in, and a time of sorrow for what damage we see has been done to our planet. The 2020 pandemic created a space for us to focus on our local surroundings as we avoided extended in-person contact for the sake of the health of ourselves and others. It also created more time to spend outdoors if we wanted to see others and if we had cabin fever, and more time to contemplate what shape our communities, country, and planet are in, both physically and spiritually. In 1970, when Earth Day began, there were many environmental issues and hazards that had caught the attention of most Americans. People on all sides of the political spectrum began to realize that government needed to respond to the problems. Millions of Americans, one source says 22 million, demonstrated for the new environmental safety efforts on that first Earth Day, April 22nd, 1970. I'm going to talk about two of these issues. First, pesticides and herbicides, and second, industrial pollution. Rachel Carson drew our attention to the destruction of bird populations in her bestseller, The Silent Spring. This book chronicled the demise of many bird populations and the destruction of habitats due to an overabundant application of systemic herbicides to wipe out weeds and unwanted plants in agricultural fields and suburban lawns, and also neurotoxic pesticides like DDT to control the mosquito populations worldwide. These organic chemical products were touted as the industrial equivalent of the American can-do approach. Mothers sprayed their children's bedrooms with DDT just before bedtime. Countless dads applied herbicides to any dandelion or broadleaf weed that popped up in their turf lawns. In the 1950s, Rachel Carson demonstrated that the chemicals in pesticides and herbicides weakened bird shells and doomed the chicks. The toxic chemicals were present not only in birds like eagles, but also in their prey and in the watersheds, wetlands, and riverine habitats. Further studies showed that the toxins were also present in humans and were causing cancer. Rachel Carson herself died of breast cancer in April 1964. The connection of toxicity of these pesticides and herbicides was not apparent to the users of these products. It took scientists such as Rachel Carson and others to discover the causality and make the case. This is a reminder that the web of all existence requires study and lab work. We cannot find all of the connectivity by taking a walk in the woods or marshes. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning includes science. We need to remember that science can show us effects, but turning scientific evidence into remediation and regulation takes collective community work. We now know that pesticides and herbicides can cause cancers and liver and brain damage, and they also affect fertility and fetal development. By the first Earth Day in 1970, there was also clear evidence that America's industrial might was polluting our rivers. This was not a hidden connection like that between DDT and eggshells. It was obvious. For example, the infamous Cuyahoga River. The most famous photograph of the environmental movement of the late 1960s was, we all thought at the time, the June 1969 fire on the Cuyahoga River in Ohio. In fact, The picture that the media broadcast in 1969 was actually taken at the 1952 fire on the Cuyahoga. The 1969 fire was put out so quickly that no news photographers were able to get there in time to document the event. In fact, between 1868 and 1952, that very river had caught on fire at least 9 times. In 1969, the river was full of sewage. The banks of the river were obscured in places by abandoned cars in junkyards. The surface was an oil slick, and effluents from the mills along the course of the river made the water unsafe to drink. The residents of Cleveland and much of the rest of industrial America still undervalued the importance of the natural environment. As the first Earth Day was celebrated, Americans were coming to the realization that nature was not just parks. It was the air we breathe and the water we drink. As Dr. Asari reminded us last week, the ability of the globe to absorb the byproducts of industrialization was limited. Humans need to protect their natural environment in order to protect their own well-being. This, as we all know, is the 7th principle: respect for the interdependent web of all existence. 1969 also saw another disaster, which led to the creation of Earth Day and the approval of the Environmental Protection Agency. That January, an offshore oil well blowout spilled millions of gallons of crude oil, gas, and oily mud into the Pacific Ocean near Santa Barbara. Daily news coverage showed pictures of shorebirds and otters covered with tar and oil. Over 3,500 birds died from the spill. Dolphins, sea lions, and harbor seals were suffocated by the oily sludge. Students from all over the country arrived to save the wildlife, carefully sponging soiled feathers and coats with dishwashing soap that still advertises its role in that environmental cleanup. And they rehabilitated the cleaned up animals until they could be released back into a detoxified environment. This spill was only one of many that have occurred in our oceans and waterways since the 1960s, but it still ranks as the 3rd worst since then. Organizations that had been fighting single issues like air and water pollution, habitat destruction, health hazards, and other harms of industrial development combined efforts in the late 1960s and early 70s to persuade Congress and federal agencies to seek solutions. Politicians on both sides of the aisle worked together to pass the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, Occupational Safety and Health Act, Endangered Species Act, and President Nixon formed the Environmental Protection Agency to set standards and to implement the new regulations and laws. Demonstrations on Earth Day and widespread expressions of public concern motivated the federal and other governments to act. Earth Day celebrations were just one way in which ordinary citizens took responsibility for protecting the environment. Since 1970, Earth Day has gone global and is celebrated in over 190 countries around the world. The theme of Earth Day 2021 is Restore Our Earth. Today, you can take part in many different kinds of Earth Day activities, such as divestment from climate unfriendly industries, banks and companies, beach and river cleanups, highway trash pickups, tree planting, community gardens, recycling drives, composting, reducing single-use plastics, ethical eating, planting food and shelter plants for monarch butterflies, monitoring endangered species like the bats on Long Island, and many more. Today, Unitarian Universalists are banding together in congregations and in regional and national groups to carry on the hard work of restoring the planet and reducing the causes of climate change. The Green Sanctuary Program aligns UU congregations in sustainable practices and education. The UU Worship Web has resources for creating spiritual programs supporting Earth Day and the goals of combating climate change. There are curricula for RE education for children, youth, and adults. UUA has formed climate justice initiatives with other faith organizations, such as UU Ministry for Earth and the UU United Nations Office working with Green Faith, an organization that facilitates circles of multi-faith members to combat climate change and support climate justice. And also Interfaith Power and Light, an organization of people and faith and conscience to take bold and just action on climate change. Together in small groups, congregations, and in local, national, and international organizations, we can promote active changes to celebrate our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Find yourself an environmental action to adopt. We UUs can join with local organizations like BLARG to take serious action towards improving our air and water. Let us continue to change the planet for good. In closing, I want to remind you what the water looked like in 1969 in Cleveland. In many ways, we can see improvements in air and water quality, but we need to act together with the Greta Thunbergs, with the current administration in Washington, and with the international communities towards the goal of a cleaner, more sustainable, and safer environment for our children and future generations. Please join us now in singing Peter Merrick's Ode to the Oceans, Blue Boat Home.
I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. Wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, breathe the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song, I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
For closing words today, I'd like us to consider these words by the Dalai Lama. Christ, Allah, or Buddha is not responsible for the climate change and the destruction of the environment. It is a man-made problem. Therefore, we must take the responsibility and find solutions to the problems. That is why we need environmental ethics that focus on action and compassion for all sentient beings.
I will now extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These things we will take with us together until we come together again.
Thich Nhat Hanh is responsible for the benediction, the words of the benediction today. Water flows from high in the mountains. Water runs deep in the earth. Miraculously, water comes to us and sustains all life. Water and sun green these plants. When the rain of compassion falls, even a desert becomes an immense green ocean.
Paradise and put up a parking with a pink hotel, a boutique and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Hey, paradise, put up a parking lot.
They took all the trees, put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paid paradise, put up a parking lot.
Paid for the farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots on my apples, but give me the birds and the bees, please. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Hey, paradise, put up a parking lot.
Late last night, I heard that screen go slam.